بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. سبح لله ما في السماوات وما في الأرض وهو العزيز الحكيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا لم تقولون ما لا تفعلون كبر مقتا عند الله أن تقولوا ما لا تفعلون إن الله يحب الذين يقاتلون في سبيله صفا كأنهم بنيان مرصوص. وإذ قال موسى لقومه يا قوم لم تؤذونني وقد تعلمون أني رسول الله إليكم فلما زاغوا أزاغ الله قلوبهم والله لا يهدي القوم الفاسقين. وإذ قال عيسى ابن مريم يا بني إسرائيل إني رسول الله إليكم مصدقا لما بين يدي من التوراة ومبشرا برسول يأتي من بعد اسمه أحمد. فلما جاءهم بالبينات قالوا هذا سحر مبين. ومن أظلم ممن افترى على الله الكذب وهو يدعى إلى الإسلام والله لا يهدي القوم الظالمين. يريدون ليطفئوا نور الله بأفواههم والله متم نوره ولو كره الكافرون. هو الذي أرسل رسوله بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره على الدين كله ولو كره المشركون. يا أيها الذين آمنوا هل أدلكم على تجارة تنجيكم من عذاب أليم. تؤمنون بالله ورسوله وتجاهدون في سبيل الله بأموالكم وأنفسكم ذلكم خير لكم إن كنتم تعلمون. يغفر لكم ذنوبكم ويدخلكم جنات تجري من تحتها الأنهار ومساكن طيبة في جنات عدن ذلك الفوز العظيم. وأخرى تحبونها نصر من الله وفتح قريب وبشر المؤمنين. يا أيها الذين آمنوا كونوا أنصار الله كما قال عيسى بن مريم للحواريين من أنصاري إلى الله قال الحواريون نحن أنصار الله. فآمنت طائفة من بني إسرائيل وكفرت طائفة فأيدنا الذين آمنوا على عدوهم فأصبحوا ظاهرين.
صدق الله العلي العظيم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. The reason I've chosen Surah Saf for these days because we go through according to an order from Surah Inshiqaq to Surah Nas, but because Surah Saf is so related to the event of Karbala, I thought it's good to study it during these weeks. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. سبح لله ما في السماوات وما في الأرض وهو العزيز الحكيم. Surah Saf generally is divided to 4 groups of ayat. Ayat number 1, which is about glorifying Allah, tasbih. Then ayat 2 to 4. Then ayat 5 to 9. And 10 to 14. When it starts with سبح لله ما في السماوات وما في الأرض وهو العزيز الحكيم. When Allah starts the story with tasbih, with explaining about that everything, what does سبح لله ما في السماوات وما في الأرض mean? I think after these few surahs we learned, you know, the samawat means skies and the earth means earth, and sabbaha means declare the praise or glorify Allah. So what it means that ma fi samawat, ma means everything or whatever, and fi is in, whatever is in the skies and earth, whatever is in the sky, and ma fil earth, and whatever is on the earth. Sabbaha lillah, declare the praise and glory of Allah, they glorify Allah. What does it mean? It means that they are shouting that Allah is glorified. Allah doesn't need anything and is free from any deficiency. It's complete, it's perfect. And فهو العزيز الحكيم, and he is exalted in the might, the wise. He is almighty. He is the all wise. He is the most powerful. He is the most wise. Aziz in Arabic means, I've explained it before as well. When Aziz in Arabic means who never fails. The most powerful means that always winner, never lose, never fails. Any time Allah says in Quran, in the literature of Quran, when it comes to tasbih, it's at the time that when Allah wants to order us something, to command mankind something, and then before that, He explains that I don't need you. I am when if I ask you to do something, if I command you for do something, it doesn't mean that I need it. It's just because of you. It's that I want you. I want it to be done through you, or mankind. I want you to move towards Allah by doing this. So when, for example, in Surah Hadith, which we had one majlis, if you remember, in one of the majlis we spoke about it, not in our this course of Tadabbur. Before we explained that Surah Hadith was about infaq, giving away property and life, and it was one the most important item to prove our iman, our belief. And again, before Allah orders to do infaq, before Allah orders, commands us to prove your iman through infaq, through giving away your property and life. Again, Allah started by tasbih, wa sabbaha lillah. It means that, oh mankind, if I ask you to do something, don't think that, oh, Allah needs you. Don't think of yourself that, oh, now Allah needs us as mankind to do something for him. No, it's just because of you yourself. That's why he emphasized that I don't need anything. I am, and he shows the glory of himself first, and he emphasized that whatever is in the sky and on the earth declare the praise and glory of Allah. So don't think if I command you something, if I order you something, or if I tell you something, it's not because I need it. For example, if I asked you to help poor people, of course, if I wanted, I could have helped them all and no need for your help. But I want to help poor people through you. If I say that fight with enemies of Allah, it doesn't mean that I cannot kill all the enemies of Allah. It's that I want to kill them through you, through jihad, so you can progress towards me to improve the quality of your meeting, which we learned, which we studied about in Surah Al-Shaqaq. Then after ayat 1, Allah is saying, Ya ayyuhallazina amanu. In Tadabbur course, the main lecturer, Ayatollah Tabu, that's Sunnah, and that's the commenting in their class that when they recite Ya ayyuhallazina amanu, all the students say labbaik, labbaik, because Ya ayyuhallazina amanu means, oh, you believers. Ya ayyuhallazina amanu. It looks like it is in a way that Allah is calling mankind is as an audience, the direct audience. Allah is talking to believers. Ya ayyuhallazina amanu. So whenever we hear Ya ayyuhallazina amanu, we need to say labbaik, labbaik. What does labbaik mean? That I'm ready to obey. Whatever is your command, we are ready to obey and fulfill your command. So when Allah say, oh, you believers, we say, we as believers, because we now we are in the position that we count on ourselves as believers. So we need to say, Ya ayyuhallazina amanu, we should put ourselves in that shoes, that to say, labbaik, labbaik, we are ready to obey, oh Allah, we are ready to fulfill your command. And then Allah is saying, لِمَ تَقُولُونَ مَا لَا تَفْعَلُونَ. Why do you say what you do not do? Why do you preach? Why do you preach what you do not practice? So when we say labbaik, we are ready to obey and fulfill your command, O Allah, this brings lots of responsibility on our shoulders. So it's not easy. When we say that this Surah stuff is connected to event of Ashura, exactly by this ayat, you can feel it. Ya ayyuhallazina amanu, O people of Kufa, lima taquluna ma la taf'alun. Why do you say something which you do not do, which you do not practice? Why did you write letters to Imam Hussein alayhi salam to come to Kufa? Oh, Imam, come, we will support you, and you didn't support him. Why didn't you write a letter and invited Imam when you were not supposed to support him? And then ayat number 3, Allah is saying, Kabura maqtan inda Allah. Kabura maqtan, it means that is most hateful, the sight of Allah inda Allah. And taqulu ma la taf'alun, that you say something and do not practice it. And ayat 4, Inna Allah yuhibbu alladhina yuqatiluna fi sabilihi saffan ka'annahum bunyanun marsus. Okay, Allah, you are saying, why do you say something which you do not do? Why do you say something which you do not practice? So shouldn't we say that? Which we think that we can't practice it? Allah is saying, no. Inna Allah yuhibbu alladhina yuqatiluna fi sabilihi. Allah, indeed, Allah loves those who fight for his cause. يقاتلون في سبيل الله, في سبيله, who fight for his cause in battlefield. كأنهم بنيان مرصوص, like as if they are a solid cemented structure in a way that's so strong, and who fight for the cause of Allah in battlefield by formation firm as an unbreakable concrete wall. It means strong and impenetrable, which nobody can penetrate it. That's strong. So when it comes to this ayat, you see that Allah doesn't mean that, okay, if you think you can't support your Imam Zaman, don't recite Allahumma ajjal waliyaka al-faraj because you can't support. No, recite it, say it, and you should prepare yourself to support your Imam Zaman. So when Allah is saying لَمَ تَقُولُونَ مَا لَا تَفْعَلُونَ, doesn't mean that, okay, don't say. He doesn't say that. He could have said in this ayat that don't say something which you cannot fulfill, but he doesn't say that. He says, why do you say something which you cannot, which you do not practice? Not cannot, which you do not practice. So as believers, we have to say it. We have to say it. We have to claim that we are supporters of Imam Zaman, and we should practice it. It is said that Surah Saf is all Rosa of Imam Hussein. In fact, it's all Matam for Imam Hussein alayhi salam. It is said that when the captives of Karbala were taken to Kufa, some of the people, they were happy and that, oh, we are winner, and some of them, they were confused. They didn't know who these captives are, because they had been plotted by Ibn Ziyad and all Yazid soldiers. But something so sad happened there, which when the captives, they arrived in Kufa, and after the sermons they recited, which I'll go through it, and then all women of Kufa showed great grief and mourned, men cried with them, and all that. Then Imam Sajjad alayhi salam recited the sermon as Imam Zaman of that time after Imam Hussein. Then he, in his sermon, he said, he told those people who they were crying and said, okay, if you, I can give you a sparkle of hope back. But if you want God's mercy will be upon you, I can show a way. They were all excited that, oh, what can we do and all this. And what Imam Sajjad alayhi salam said was that if you want if you hope God's mercy will be upon you, I've got just one advice for you. Neither help us nor fight us. Don't be with us and don't be against us. And that was so sad. That is a great pain that Imam Zaman says that. It means the divine fears of Imam Zaman. Which Imam Zaman says that, okay, if you want God's mercy will be upon you, just leave us. We should always pray that our Imam Zaman don't think that way about us. God forbidden. How painful it is when Imam Zaman says, if you hope that God's mercy will be upon you, then leave us. Don't be with us and don't be against us. It is said that when captives of Karbala arrived Kufa, Hazrat Zainab Salamullah alayha recited sermon, and then Hazrat Fatima bint al-Hussein, one of the daughters of Imam Hussein, recited sermon. So Hazrat Zainab Salamullah recited, do you know what liver you tore from the Prophet? Was the gem of Allah's Prophet you brought out of its shell? Do you know which blood you shed from the Prophet? Was that the result of this ayat? هو الذي بعث في الأميين رسولا منهم يتلو عليهم آياته ويزكيهم ويعلمهم الكتاب والحكمة. Do you know how you insulted Prophet? You committed a terrible crime. He said that one of the women of Kufa, she was watching the captives from the roof, and she asked She asked the captives, which area are you from? And when they replied that we are family of Prophet, we are Ahlul Bayt family relatives, she came down, collected clothes and scarves for them. But it was too late for that. Fatima bint al-Hussein recited the sermon as well. O people of Kufa, God has tested you through us and has praised us through this test and has granted us knowledge and wisdom. Therefore, we are the source of knowledge and divine wisdom and Allah's proof on earth. You have denied our title and made our murder halal. You are happy with the slander you made against God and the plot you did, but God is the best of the plotters. You have killed my brother. I give you good tidings that you will soon be punished with fire. I'll cry for my brother, for the best of people after the Prophet, and this crying will never end. O people, you wrote letter to my father, inviting him to come to you, and when he came, you killed him. How will you look into the Prophet's eyes while he is saying you killed my family? And after this sermons, which is long sermon from Hazrat Zainab Salamallah, Fatima bint al-Hussein, and then people just realized what they have done. They came to their senses and they started crying and then saying that, oh, tell us what to do now. We are ready to fight against, for example, Yazid and compensate what we have done. Then Imam Zain al-Abidin Salamullah alayhi salam recited the sermon. And he said, he showed them a spark of hope. As, oh people, you wrote letter for my father, invited him, and you didn't support him. And now you want to do the same thing to us? I show you a spark of hope. And as I said, that they were all happy that, oh, there is a way now, we can compensate. And then Imam Zaman said, Imam Sajjad alayhi salam, who was there, Imam Zaman said, okay, if everybody was quiet, hopeful, optimistic to hear a solution, to be able to pay compensation, then Imam Zain al-Abidin alayhi salam said, if you want God's mercy, it will be upon you, neither help us nor fight us. And that was the most painful part of the sermon Imam Sajjad alayhi salam recited. He said, oh, unjust people, you wrote letter, invited Imam. If you didn't support him, what did you draw a sword on him? Why did you stop the water? Why did you capture her family? What a black leaf you planted in the world. So now, leave us. In fact, Allah sacrificed Imam Zaman, Imam Hussein alayhi salam, for us to come to our senses. But after 1,300 years, people still, they haven't learned their lesson. If we recite Surah, if we study Surah Saf, then we can see that we are not still living in a way that after Allah sacrificed Imam Hussein, we should live. We should help the presence of our Imam Zaman. In fact, after Ashura, the absence of Imam started. لما تقولون. Why did you write letter? Why do you say something ما لا تفعلون? كبر مقتا. Allah it is the most hateful in the sight of Allah that you say something and do not practice it. إن الله يحب الذين يقاتلون في سبيله صفا كأنهم بنيان مرصوص. Indeed, Allah loves those who fight for His cause in battlefield as an unbreakable concrete wall, so strong that nobody can penetrate it. And as we said, when we read ayat number 2, لما تقولون ما لا تفعلون, two views comes in our minds that, okay, so we shouldn't say something which Allah doesn't like and we can't fulfill, or no, we should say and fulfill it, which ayat number 4 shows us that yes, إن الله يحب الذين يقاتلون في سبيله. In fact, Allah points directly to jihad, who they fight in the cause of Allah in battlefield, so strong. So it's not that we don't say Ya ibn al-Hasan ajil ala zuhurak. We said that we should say it and we should stand for it. In fact, ayat number 2 to 4 are blaming that why don't you do jihad? Why don't you do qital in the way of, in the cause of Allah? يقاتلون في سبيله. يقاتلون في سبيله means fighting in the way of Allah. It can be in battlefield or in any situation. And then from in ayat 10, Allah is saying, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu. Again, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu. We should say, Labbaik, Labbaik, oh my believers. We should say, oh Allah, we are ready to obey. هل أدلكم على تجارة تنجيكم من عذاب أليم. Should I show you a business, تجارة, which will save you from hard and punishment, عذاب أليم? Because Allah knows that we are businessmen and women. Mankind is businessmen. So Allah is treating us as businessmen. And in fact, He, after that, ayat 11, تؤمنون بالله ورسوله وتجاهدون في سبيل الله بأموالكم وأنفسكم. Again, what comes in? Jihad. في سبيل الله, in the cause of Allah, بأموالكم, with your properties, wealth, وأنفسكم, and with your life. ذلك خير لكم إن كنتم تعلمون. That's the best thing for us if you know it. So ayat 2 to 4, Allah is blaming those people who say something and they don't do accordingly, and they don't do qital and jihad in the cause of Allah. And ayat 10 is encouraging to jihad. And between these ayats from ayat 5 to 9, Allah is explaining the history of Bani Israel. So Allah is starting from ayat 2 to 4, starting something, a subject, and then He stops, explains us from ayat 5 to 9, the history of Bani Israel in 3 stages. In fact, this ayat 5 to 9 is 3 different stages of Bani Israel history. Which one? The first stage is related to Prophet Musa, the time of Prophet Musa alayhi salam, and the second stage is related to Prophet Isa alayhi salam and Bani Israel, and the third stage is Bani Israel who are forever in this world. In fact, the audience are all the people through the world, because Quran is for all of the people, all the time. It's not limited to a specific time or limited to specific people. In fact, in Ayat 4, Allah is saying, I'm not looking for those people who they don't claim that they are supporters of wilayat, they are supporters of imams, they are supporters of Prophet and Ahl al-Bayt. In fact, I am looking forward for those people who they claim they are supported and they practice it. And it is said that Surah Saf is trying to, the main intention of Surah Saf is to prepare supporters for Imam Zaman alayhi salam. When Allah is saying Kabura Maqtan, is most hateful, it shows the maximum anger of Allah. It means that Allah tested the claim of people at the cost of martyrdom of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. He tested Ummah, the people, and the price is much higher than what we can think about it. And in fact, after Ashura, there is nothing left for mankind but shame. In other words, absence of Imam started after Ashura. Allah is saying, I brought my most special people like Imam Hussein alayhi salam and his family to complete the argument. But what we did, we went to sidelines. And still, after thousands of years, still mankind is waiting. Allah is saying, Inna Allah yuhibbul ladina yuqatiluna fi sabilih. If you want to be part of those people Allah loves and have fulfilled Allah's commands, so come to the battlefield, come to jihad, come to sacrificing your life and property, amwalikum and anfusakum, in the cause of Allah. And not in a way that one day you are in that queue and one day you leave it. So as soon as something happens, you are scared and you escape. No. كأنهم بنيان مرصوص. Like a strong cemented wall. Not like those who, as soon as something happens, as soon as they go through hardships, they complain, and they think that, oh, we should make friends with enemies of Allah, just to have a safe, secure, and calm life in this world. In Surah Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Allah is saying, why? How you are sitting still while kuffars, unbelievers, are living on the earth? It is that important. يُقَاتِلُونَ فِي سَبِيلِهِ. And there are in Surah Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Allah explains about two different groups of unbelievers. That one group, those unbelievers who obstruct the way of Allah. Sadda an sabilillah. They obstruct the way of Allah. But there is another group which no, they don't obstruct, and they are under control of the first group. We don't mean when it comes to yuqatiluna fi sabilillah, come to fight against enemies of Allah and unbelievers, we don't face the second group, because if we can overcome the first group, the second group, naturally, they come out of their control, and they will not be unbelievers automatically. Ayat number 5, which Allah starts the history of Bani Israel. وَإِذْ قَالَ مُوسَى لِقَوْمِهِ يَا قَوْمِ لِمَ تُؤْذُونَنِي. Allah is saying, remember when Prophet Musa said to his people, oh my people, why do you give me trouble? Why do you hurt me? لِمَ تُؤْذُونَنِي. لِمَ, why, for what? تُؤْذُونَنِي, it comes from aziyat. In Farsi, we have aziyat, maybe in Urdu as well. So the root is comes from تُؤْذُونَنِي. And yeah, at the end means me. Why do you trouble me? Why do you hurt me? وَقَدْ تَعْلَمُونَ أَنِّي رَسُولُ اللَّهِ إِلَيْكُمْ. While you know certainly that I am the messenger of Allah to you. And then Allah says, فَلَمَّا زَاغُوا أَزَاغَ اللَّهُ قُلُوبَهُمْ. And when they turned away from path of Allah, Allah turned their hearts away from the right path. That is so dangerous. We should be scared of this part of it. فَلَمَّا زَاغُوا أَزَاغَ اللَّهُ قُلُوبَهُمْ. It means that if somebody wants to divert from the path of Allah, okay, he comes to the point that Allah supports him to go away, turn away from the right path. وَاللَّهُ لَا يَهْدِي الْقَوْمَ الْفَاسِقِينَ. And Allah does not guide the people who are rebellious, who are disobedient to Allah. لِمَ تُؤْذُونَنِي. As we said that in Tadabbur, the ayats are related to each other, one after another. In ayat 2, we had لِمَ تَقُولُونَ مَا لَا تَفْعَلُونَ. Why do you say something which you do not act accordingly? And then here, يَا قَوْمِ لِمَ تُؤْذُونَنِي. لِمَ تَقُولُونَ مَا لَا تَفْعَلُونَ in ayat 2. Now لِمَ تُؤْذُونَنِي. So it means this, what is this trouble which people of Prophet Musa trouble him? How do they trouble him? Promising and not fulfilling it. Claiming faith with no real faith. And when it comes to فَلَمَّا زَاغُوا أَزَاغَ اللَّهُ قُلُوبَهُمْ, if those people, when they turn away from path of Allah, Allah turned their hearts away from the right path. That's why we should be scared. That comes to the point that sometimes Imam Ali alayhi salam, Amir al-Mu'minin, becomes a tool for diverting a person from the path of Allah. And sometimes Muawiyah alayhi becomes a tool to guide a person towards Allah. So we should be so careful about our hearts. We say shakele. I don't know how to explain shakele. I'll find word later for it. So it means that whatever is, because we have got choice. So every choice we make, it makes the next step of our life. So we should be so careful that if we make wrong choices, we come to the point that everything in the world, and in fact Allah helps us to go, as he says that فَلَمَّا زَاغُوا أَزَاغَ اللَّهُ قُلُوبَهُمْ. For example, we have heard that people of Prophet Musa alayhi salam, when he told them, when they passed the river and they were secure from Pharaoh, then they arrived to the city. Then Prophet Musa told them, now we should go and fight with the governor of this city. and then we will have a safe life, a secure life in this city. They said, no, you go with your brother, go and fight with the with support of your God, go and fight. When you win, we will join you. When we hear this, we think that this is related just to Prophet Musa. But when we think about ourselves now, we are talking about that when Imam Zaman comes, he will establish a universal Islamic government. And before that, the world, all there, even if some parts of the world, their Islamic government established and take control, but never peace and just will settle in the whole world. But what we say now, we say that, oh, let us live our life. When it comes to يقاتلون في سبيله, when it comes to, for example, fighting the cause of Allah, everybody is scared and everybody wants to come out of it somehow. Oh, we vote for no war. No, it's not like that. It's not all the time like that. We can't sit down and just watch that Imam Zaman comes and establish Islamic, universal Islamic government. That's not possible. If that was possible, there was no need for absence of Imam for many years, for thousands of years. And if that was the case, we would not have these many ayats in Quran about jihad. In fact, they say that, oh, let us live our life calmly. Well, Quran has come to say that no, this world is not your real life. We learned in Surah Fajr, Ya laytani qaddamtu li hayati. I wish I had done something before for my life. So even this world is not our life. Allah is saying this world is just for you to be my slave. In fact, this world is like a child in his mother womb, and when we die, in fact, that's the start. That's the time we be born. In other words, then in ayat 5, Allah is saying, وَإِذْ قَالَ مُوسَى لِقَوْمِهِ يَا قَوْمِ لِمَ تُؤْذُونَنِي. Why don't you hurt me? Why don't you trouble me? فَقَدْ تَعْلَمُونَ أَنِّي رَسُولُ اللَّهِ لَكُمْ. Well, you know that I'm the messenger from Allah. فَلَمَّا زَاغُوا وَزَاغَ اللَّهُ قُلُوبَهُمْ وَاللَّهُ لَا يَهْدِي الْقَوْمَ الْفَاسِقِينَ. That's why فَلَمَّا زَاغُوا وَزَاغَ اللَّهُ قُلُوبَهُم. That's one of the most important du'as which we recite in our qunut is لَا تُزِغْ قُلُوبَنَا. It means, oh Allah, help us and help us our hearts doesn't divert from your path. That's very important dua. وَاللَّهُ لَا يَهْدِي الْقَوْمَ الْفَاسِقِينَ. Allah is saying, and Allah doesn't guide the people who are corrupted. Doesn't guide the corrupted people. Allah is saying, you know why I allowed you to deviate, to divert from the right path? Because prevent deviation is one of the branches of guidance. This is a formula. If you please listen carefully, this is a formula, a logic formula. To prevent deviation is one of the branches of guidance. It means that if Allah prevents us divert from the right path, that is one of the branches of His guidance. People who are corrupted, fasiq, they have decided to leave the circle of servitude. They have decided not to be servant for Allah. They have decided not to obey Allah. So they are not subject to guidance. They are corrupted people. So there is no need, logically, there is no reason for Allah to support them. Because this guidance is a complicated subject as well. So therefore, it's not subject to prevention of deviation. And this is the first page of Bani Israel's lifetime, time of Prophet Musa alayhi salam, and their corruption during Prophet, which Prophet Musa alayhi salam, they believe and they claim that they are believers, and Prophet Musa alayhi salam saved them many times, and again they didn't fulfill what they claimed. They did not practice what they did preach. So again, their life changed. And inshallah, in the following ayat, قال عيسى ابن مريم, we go through second, and then يريدون ليطفئوا نور الله, back on third page of lifetime of Bani Israel. And I apologize that I have to leave early today. And inshallah, we will go through it next week. Inshallah, Allah help us to practice Surah Saf. We learn the lesson, so we will not part of those people who are the audience of this ayat, لَمَا تَقُولُونَ مَا لَا تَفْعَلُونَ, which ended up to shahadat and martyrdom of Imam Hussein alayhi salam and his Ahlul Bayt. And that was a musibah, that was something that the whole world is still suffering from that. If people in Yemen are suffering, if people in different countries of the world still suffering, is the result of that day, of those people, of the action of those people. And if we don't learn to practice the lessons of Surah Saf, we don't know how many more years we have to wait for the presence of our Imam. Thank you for listening. Inshallah, we will meet next week. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad.